We are well into the season of exposure. I actually like to call it the season of retribution. I am so happy to tell you tonight that the National Security Advisor, John Bolton, has now been charged with 18 counts of sharing thousands of pages of classified information, many of them marked top secret. Who did he share this information to? Two individuals labeled in this indictment, and I have read through the 26-page indictment. These two individuals appear to be his editors. The problem is, in the indictment, it's not that this was for his book. This was information outside of what he published in the book. Very sensitive information. Let me go through some of it. It was intelligence about future attacks. It was foreign adversaries, future missile attacks. All of this compromising national security of the United States of America. There was intel on foreign adversaries in many respects, and it revealed human intelligence operations and sensitive sources and methods. To me, what is spelled out in this indictment, I believe there were people put at risk, Americans put at risk, because John Bolton decided to share this information, maybe for a book, maybe it was his editors, it doesn't matter. Imagine if those editors were compromised. Now, through all of this, in emails to these individuals 1 and 2, he basically acknowledges what he was doing was wrong. This is attorney Mike Davis.
What's so damning for John Bolton in this indictment is they go through in this indictment to show his knowledge and intent. They go through and quote John Bolton in the past for when he's talked about how doing the very things he allegedly did here is a very serious national security crime, espionage. And they go through these documents, and some of these documents are top secret.
So they spell it out that Bolton was well aware. That's what Mike Davis is saying here, that he was well aware of exactly what he was doing. Now, many of the liberals will go back to President Trump. Oh, this is retribution. Well, it's only retribution. But on top of the retribution, it happens to be a man who, in my opinion, sure looks like he's broken the law, according to this indictment. Now, I know from sources very close to President Trump that the only thing President Trump directed the DOJ to do is go after those people who broke the law. Beyond that, the DOJ was completely on its own here. Here's President Trump.
John Bolton was just indicted by a grand jury in Maryland. Do you have a reaction to that?
I didn't know that. You tell me for the first time, but I think he's, a bad person. I think he's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy. It's too bad, but it's the way it goes.
Well, he was a warmonger, and I believe John Bolton was one of the crew that was there to try to sink President Trump along the way. Now, maybe the most damaging in all of this is that the mainstream liberal corporate media seems to see what I see, that this indictment is most certainly legit. This from CNN.
And that is the sort of thing that the Justice Department does say frequently, not just in the climate of a Trump administration, that that's something that you should not do. We have seen many charges like this before of other high-ranking officials.
All right, so I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you I've read through a lot of indictments. This one's 26 pages long. It seems to use John Bolton's own words against him. Clearly, the DOJ spells out they have the documents that show this is classified information being pushed out to someone, to people who shouldn't have it. What's the chance of a conviction? How strong is this case? I want to bring in now 20-year defense attorney Sam Rajovsky is with us. Sam, welcome to the program.
Great to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you on, Sam. I imagine you've had a chance to read through this indictment, and I'll just ask you flat out, what's your thoughts on it?
My first impression reading this is it is a very quality a piece of work. I mean, the prosecutors here took time to outline everything that they had. And to the extent that they're obligated to be truthful in their representations to the court, I think this is damning. I think they've got him dead to rights. Going through this, It's a methodical takedown of someone who thought for a long time he was untouchable. He was above the law. He could do things. By the way, Bolton has a history of criticizing Trump and his handling of classified documents. So this, to me, I see a conviction happening here if these facts are as alleged and they're able to demonstrate so in court. Bolton's in real trouble.
One of the things that prosecutors did in this indictment, Bolton had always been claiming that, I got all of this stuff for approval. This was for the book. Well, they make a point of spelling out that much of what's in this indictment did not end up in the book, and that is not what was approved by the DOJ and the federal government. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that's exactly right, and that's going to be, that's something that they have mentioned. But there clearly there was, I guess there was a Google, document page and an AOL account and all these non-secure, systems that they were transmitting thousands of pages of critically sensitive information that had then, if you'll recall, was hacked by the Iranians in 2021 and created a huge problem for the U.S. The investigation into this didn't begin with Trump. It began under Biden, and the Biden people were looking at this, but they held it under wraps because Bolton was a useful tool for them to fight Trump. So this scandal goes such a political story. If the prosecution got political in any way, it was the lack of prosecution under the Biden administration of Bolton. Otherwise, this is all very straightforward.
Sam, one of the things that I noticed in this is that Bolton kept what he called a diary. And he would send these diary entries. And in the diary entries was the release of classified information. Am I right in believing that if you take something out of a classified document and you handwrite it, share that with somebody else, that's the same equivalent of sharing a classified document?
That is absolutely correct. So the law does not specify that you have to reproduce exactly the same document in its original form with its original classifications. You could tell somebody, you could be at a bar, and turn to the person next to you and share what you read in a classified document. And that in and of itself is a problem. Removing documents, transcribing anything, all of this is obviously covered by that statute. So that defense isn't going to go very far.
All right, real quick, I'm going to play Andrew McCabe. This guy's a bad actor, but even he surprises me here with his assessment of this case. Check this out.
He, from his position, was certainly in a position to know that the substance of that material was classified, and sending it to person one and person two over unauthorized systems, open email systems like AOL and Google, things like that. So that allegation alone imparts a great deal of intent. It's going to be hard for Mr. Bolton to argue that those transmissions were inadvertent or that he didn't know that he was mishandling classified or national defense information.
All right, so Sam, that's Andrew McCabe. That's a very bad actor from the old FBI. I'll give you the last word here. Where do you think this goes?
Well, I always get nervous when I agree with Andrew McCabe, but I agree with him, and so do you. But I would add, just as a lawyer, that your assessment of it earlier in your opening monologue was even more on the nose. Bolton acknowledges openly that what he's doing is wrong, and we lawyers, we call this mens rea. It's the consciousness of guilt, and he expresses it, and it's there. Honestly, this couldn't be a better case to bring on on charges like these.
Well, I'll tell you, it's like bittersweet justice when some of these people start to fall because they were so evil against President Trump. They had their own agenda. They were pushing themselves. They had self-interest far above national interest and certainly above President Trump's interest. And so to me, I can only smile when something like this happens on a day like today. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. I know we called you with short notice, Sam, but it's always great to see you.
Always good to be with you, Grant.